Hello and welcome, Charlie here from Combat Talk Media, and we are joined here with PFL title contender Mr. Sadibou Sy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
No
How are you
problem.
doing?
I'm doing great. So where are you joining us from right now?
So right now I'm back home in Sweden. I don't know if I'm gonna call Sweden home or Vegas home right now, but I'm in Sweden, uh, back home, enjoying an amazing weather, amazing summer day with friends and family.
Oh, when did you get back to Sweden? Did you just get back today or did you have some
Yeah,
time in the UK?
so I arrived last night around midnight, a little bit earlier than midnight, 11 p.m., something like that.
Did you have any time to basically have a post-fight reward to have some time to explore the UK, exploring Cardiff, or did you have to get straight back to Sweden?
So we left the arena probably, I don't know, I don't even know what the time was, maybe 10 p.m. something, 11 p.m. I met up with some friends, family that came out to watch the fights. I hung out with them for maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. I was at a PFL event uh, where the executives and the PFL people were hosting it, and around two to 3 a.m. in the morning, I was completely done. I was so tired. I just wanted to sleep. Went home, couldn't sleep for a minute. So,
Yeah.
and then we left. Yeah, for that's usual the usual fight night. The night after the fight, I don't sleep. It's tough to sleep. So many different emotions and stuff. So, and then we left from Cardiff early around noon. So I didn't get to see so much, unfortunately.
Of course. And coming back to it right now, like after the weekend has ended, you are one way, one win, and one way exactly. You were on the road to winning the PFL title. How are you feeling
Yeah.
from that?
No, I feel amazing. It's the feeling of like um putting in hard work and making like looking at myself and recognizing that I needed a change, and being honest about it and not taking one step back. Just this is what needs to be done. This is what needs to get done, and go for it, and then reap the benefits of it and see the improvements. And like I can't even imagine how I can't even put into words how good that feels. The process, like it's been hard work, like so it's been hard work, but to be able to feel the improvements is so cool. It's so rewarding, and I honestly feel like I've been in out in Vegas for like 6 months. It's been three fights during those 6 months, and also one fight last year against Kunchenko, which I won. I had my camp in Vegas as well, so I have four fights now in Vegas, which I have uh, done all my preparation, and I've won all those fights. And I honestly still believe that I have so much room for improvement. So I'm looking forward to the time ahead.
In terms of all accomplishments in your MMA career, would you
Yeah.
consider it so far the top of the list?
Uh, to reach the finals, or do you mean just the fight itself?
Vice versa, to reach the finals, to get this opportunity to to even fight for the PFL welterweight belt, but even for yourself in a self-motivation term, would you consider this top of the list for you and your accomplishment goals?
Yeah, so it's up there. The thing is, it's so rewarding because for me, to be honest, I've known that I have this in me. I've known that the level that I'm fighting at is this is the level that I'm supposed to be at. I'm supposed to be a multiple time PFL world champion in my mind. That's truly what I believe, and I'm not trying to take anything away from my fellow PFL fighters, right?
Of course.
But to be honest, like my performances hasn't been up to par. So with that being said, it feels so rewarding to now finally start to putting things together and starting to understand this is the way I want to feel like. And I'm not there yet where I feel like I'm in my prime and I'm like, but just going in the right direction. Yeah, 100%. This is the best I've felt, and this is the most rewarding.
Are you gonna take a break for a while, or what's the plan for you? Are you just gonna go back to the gym, back to training, stay active, or are you just gonna spend some time with
Yeah.
friends and family for a while?
I have no injuries whatsoever. I went for a 2 hour walk today. I'm gonna go for our walk more like so. I'm gonna be active. I'm not gonna spar. I'm not gonna, but I'm gonna do some arsenal training and I'm gonna start. So I'm gonna train probably 5 6 times this week. 5 6 days this week. It's not gonna be as intense, but I'm gonna make sure that when I come back to Vegas end of next week. Um, and start to ramp things up a little bit more. I'm not starting from zero. So I will be active.
So talk us through your bout that you just had over the weekend, which was a victory,
Yeah.
as was said, over Carlos Leal. Talk to us about preparation for that bout. Did everything go to plan for you in terms of the game plan, fight camp? Did everything go to plan for you in terms of preparation?
Yeah. So it was a little bit hard to to know. So if I start with myself, let's do it that way. My
Yes.
my preparation was amazing. Uh,
Right.
I started camp like 4 days after the Rory fight, with no injuries after that fight as well, which felt great. It was hard going back to the diet right away. Only having 6 weeks going down to 170 again, which is because I'm a big welterweight, so the cut is tough. So I needed to stay disciplined, and I was hoping that I was gonna have one more week. But they switched the dates for our weight division, right? We're supposed to fight this week actually in London.
Of course.
Doesn't matter. So the training was actually amazing. I was in amazing shape, so I didn't have to push so much to be able to maintain and also improve on the cardio, the strength, then like everything. All the numbers were going up a little bit. So and just because I was staying active, uh, when it comes to the actual fight, it was hard not because Rory, when facing Rory, when facing a guy like Rory, you know that he's battle tested. You know that he's been in there with the best. With Carlos, it was tough because it was hard to gauge him. It's hard to know. Okay, so he beat Ray Cooper, but was Ray Cooper in his like was Ray Cooper for that fight, or was it like it
Of
was
course.
hard.
I see where you're
So
coming from
so
with that. Yes.
yeah, so for me and my team, we were like, no, he beat the best Ray Cooper out there. But still, like that's the way I prepare. But still, back in my mind, I'm like, was it? How good is he? How tough is he? How, bro? So after the first round, so we had like a different plans, and after the first fight, it took like minute and a half, and then I started to feel like, okay, now I know where I have him, the distance. I know his tempo, his distance. I know how strong he is. It's good. I feel like I started after like the second part of the first round started to pretty easy pick him apart. And I was like, oh, this is not gonna be so hard because he was trying to make it a technical fight. And then he came out in the second round and was like, screw the technical fight. I'm just gonna fight. And I did not know that he had that in him. And hats off to him, because there's not many guys that's gonna throw their game plan to the side and just bite down on their mouthpiece and go. I'm not saying that's my experience of what happened, right?
Of course.
Um, and hats off to him because he was tough. And he was durable. He just came, and I knew that I cracked him a couple of times, and his thing was just don't feel it, just take a step forward. I was like, damn. So it was a tough fight, and I was ready for a tough fight, obviously, but I didn't know what to expect. It was a little bit harder to know what to expect.
Did you expect Carlos to come out the way he did? Like the way your
Yeah, I did.
coaches and
I did.
yourself?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so actually, my coaches and the team, they actually told me, because usually if you watch all my fights, I always touch gloves for the first round.
Of
For this
course.
fight, I didn't do that. I didn't do that because they told me they was like, he's gonna come out, be ready. So so I was just like, nah, fuck that. I'm not touching gloves. I'm not, because he's and rightfully so. You saw him. He just from the first second, and I was okay with that because for me, I'm not worried about you. Not many fighters can fight backwards and still be effective. I have no problems with fighting backwards and still being effective. That's not what I rather make you go backwards because most in most cases you're not gonna be able to be as effective. You see what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I rather push him back, but pushing him back, I knew that I was gonna have to make it a war. So I was trying to like move around and stick in and pop, and touch him, and I was thinking that he was gonna fade more so than he did.
And I want to talk to you about the second semifinal right after. We actually saw you ringside to upsettingly
Yeah,
see Dilano
yeah,
Taylor finish convincingly Roy McDonald. What were you
yeah.
thinking through that process?
Oh wow. So the thing is, those guys have trained together, and I believe it's always like when you have two guys that have trained together, it's hard because so many things are out the window. Like for me, I didn't know how good is Carlos. I didn't know how strong is Carlos. There were so many questions, right? And many of those questions, even though a fight and a training session or training sparring is different, you still get to feel the guy you're gonna fight. So I knew that Delano didn't have that respect in terms of being afraid of the name Rory of the like. So that thing was out of the window. So it was just gonna be a fight for him. And I believe I actually just said, I was like, Rory is rushing, trying to force things that are not there. And that's exactly when they got cracked.
And in terms of, I want to talk about now, you have to focus on Delano Taylor yourself. What are your
Yep.
thoughts on the guy? Have you trained with him before? Are you a fan of his work, or do you just
Never trained with
find his
him.
opponent?
Never trained with him. We've actually spoken a lot. We hung out a little bit during this week when we had like uh, media things together with PFL. A very nice guy, very nice guy. And I actually told him I'm so proud of what he's been doing because he's been coming in as an alternate for 3 fights, I
Of
believe.
course,
I
he
believe he was
came
an
in on
alternate for all
notice.
the rounds.
Yes,
Yeah, came in and knowing that I might not fight, but still prepare, still making weight, still every time when his name got called, going in, getting knocked out 6 weeks ago, getting the phone call up, like you cannot say anything about that. Like that's just he's showing everybody that he really wants it. With that being said, I believe that stylistically, I just beat Rory, and I feel like facing Rory uh, with the with the problems that he brings, he would have to get me down to the ground and establish position, and maybe then he could start to create some problems for me. He's not gonna get me down now, obviously, as we saw, and on the feet he's not gonna. So for me, facing Rory, I felt like I was gonna win even more convincingly. With that being said, I believe that Taylor is a better matchup for me than Rory is,
exactly,
if
and that's
that
what I
makes
want to get
sense.
into. What
Yeah.
advantages do you
So
see compared to him?
I believe that Taylor is a guy that is like he's a striker, striker first, and he's a fighter that uses to use his range. But I believe he's not as tall as me. He's not as quick as me. He's not as technical as me. He cannot kick like I can. He's not as diverse as I am. Uh, Plus, I believe that I have better wrestling that he has. With that being said, it's a fight, and I'm taking him like this is the biggest fight in my life, then I'm gonna prepare.
Do you see yourself finishing the fight? Do you see it going to a decision in your game plan right now?
I actually think it's gonna finish before fifth round. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And last question here. I don't want to keep you here too long.
No worries.
Roy, we saw the retirement speech online from Roy McDonald, which was very sad to see coming from. He's been in the sport of mixed martial arts for a while. What are your thoughts on that?
I actually spoke to him after the fight, and
Yes, yes, we saw that. Yeah,
I gave him some encouraging words, and he actually told me right then, and I knew, so I already knew. He told me I don't have it anymore. Um, so I actually knew, and I said, if that's what you feel, that's what you feel. And I just wished him. I just told him like, have a blessed life, you know. He's done so much for the sport. I don't see it as something sad. Uh, he he's one of the few being able to walk away from the sport with something to show for it.
of course.
Um, so for that being said, I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he's gonna be able to change the life for him and his family because of this sport. Not many people can say that. Has the sport been brutal to him? Only he can tell that. I've seen wars that he's been in, but I cannot. I don't know him like that, right? So I don't know. Um, but I'm not sad for him. I'm happy that um, he went out, and unfortunately he didn't win the PFL. Unfortunately, I think people are starting to realize that PFL is a lot tougher than people thought, including himself, because he told me that, like, fighting every 6 to 8 weeks, whatever, it's not easy. uh, you know, and the level of the competition is probably harder than people think. um, so no, of course not. I'm not sad for him. I'm happy that for everything he got to do in the sport of mixed martial art, and that he's gonna be able to retire with something to show for it.
Great, thank you. That was it. PFL title contender Sadibou Sy. Don't miss. Coming very soon. The PFL championships. Best of luck, buddy. Thank you very much.
Yes, appreciate.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye bye.